How debased silver bankrupted an empire. It began with a single coin, small, silver, and shining with the face of an emperor. To the Roman citizen, the denarius wasn't just money. It was power, order, and the promise that Rome itself would never fall. But over time, that promise began to fade. Not with invasion, not with rebellion, but with something quieter, the slow, deliberate corruption of its own currency. The empire that conquered the known world didn't fall from foreign armies. It fell from within under the weight of its own money. This is the story of how a silver coin became the instrument that bankrupted an empire. And it might just reveal something unsettling about our world today. 2,000 years ago, the Roman economy was a marvel of organization. Its roads and aqueducts stretched across continents. Its legions enforced peace through power. And its money, the denarius, held it all together. 4 grams of almost pure silver, stamped with the emperor's face and backed by trust. A Roman could buy food, pay taxes, or trade across the Mediterranean with it. It wasn't just metal. It was belief. Belief that the empire's word was as good as silver. Belief that the coin in your hand today would still mean something tomorrow. But belief is fragile. And once it cracks, even the mightiest empire begins to crumble. The denarius was born in war around 211 BCE, during Rome's struggle against Carthage. To fund its armies and unify its growing territories, Rome minted a coin that could be trusted everywhere it conquered. Silver from Spanish mines poured into Rome's treasury. The denarius quickly became the universal currency of the Mediterranean. Merchants accepted it without question, soldiers were paid in it, and citizens built their lives around it. For centuries, this small silver coin symbolized strength. It worked because everyone believed in it. But as Rome grew richer, its hunger for expansion and for luxury only grew stronger. And ambition always comes with a cost. By the 1st century CE, Rome was unstoppable. A superpower spanning from Britain to Syria, 60 million people under one banner. The emperors were worshipped like gods. The legions were feared across continents. But behind the glory was a machine burning through money. The empire funded everything: roads, temples, public baths, free food, entertainment, armies, and colossal monuments to ego. Each emperor tried to outdo the last. When Nero rebuilt Rome after the Great Fire, the treasury bled dry. Instead of cutting spending, he turned to a dangerous trick. He changed the money itself. Nero reduced the silver in the denarius from 95% to about 90%, then less. By melting coins and mixing in copper, he could mint more without mining more silver. It was the ancient world's version of printing money. At first, no one noticed. Prices rose slowly, merchants adapted, but over time, the illusion broke. Coins began to look duller, lighter. Markets tested purity. Soldiers demanded higher pay, and prices for everything began to rise. This was inflation before anyone had a word for it. Over the next century, emperors like Caracalla pushed the scam further. The denarius lost nearly half its silver. A new coin, the Antoninianus, was introduced worth 2 denarii, but with only 1.5 in silver. Rome was lying to itself and everyone knew it. By 250 CE, Rome was in chaos. The currency was collapsing, the economy fractured, and inflation spiraled out of control. Soldiers, once paid in silver, demanded gold. Merchants refused imperial coins altogether. The government tried to force acceptance by law, but you can't legislate trust. By 260 CE, the denarius contained less than 2% silver. A handful of coins couldn't buy a loaf of bread. In Egypt, the price of grain rose 50-fold. In Syria, tax collectors demanded payment in kind grain, wine, or clothing. Money had lost its meaning, and with it, Rome lost control. Trade collapsed. Cities shrank. People reverted to barter. The empire that once unified the world through money was now tearing itself apart. When Diocletian became emperor in 284 CE, Rome was bankrupt. He tried to fix the system with sweeping reforms. He minted new coins. He restructured taxation. He divided the empire for efficiency, but the damage was irreversible. Centuries of debasement had shattered faith in money itself. So Diocletian tried something even more extreme. The Edict on Maximum Prices. It set fixed prices for goods and services. Anyone who charged more could be executed. But price controls don't stop inflation. They hide it. Markets froze. Farmers stopped selling. Black markets exploded. And Rome's economy, already weak, began to suffocate. By the 4th century, Rome's economic heart had stopped. The denarius, the symbol of empire, was gone. Taxes became unbearable. Citizens abandoned cities to escape debt and corruption. Trade slowed to a crawl. Roads emptied. The once mighty empire that conquered the world couldn't control its own money. By the time the Western Empire fell in the 5th century, its economy had been dead for 100 years. Rome's silver had turned to dust. We think of Rome's fall as ancient history, but look closely, the same patterns are repeating. A government addicted to spending, a currency stretched beyond its limits, and a society that believes this time it's different. Rome's mint was its printing press. Ours are digital. In the last 2 decades, the world's money supply has more than doubled. Inflation, once a ghost of the past, has returned with a vengeance. We may not be melting coins anymore, but we're still melting trust. And trust is the foundation every system stands on. Takeaways and closing reflection. Lesson 1. Money is memory. It records trust. Once that trust is gone, the economy follows. Lesson 2. Inflation is a choice. Rome didn't stumble into it, it chose to debase, to delay pain, to fake prosperity. Lesson 3. Empires don't collapse overnight. They fade slowly, while everyone pretends things are fine. Rome didn't fall because of barbarians at the gates. It fell because no one believed in its money anymore. Every empire thinks it's different. Every government believes it can print without consequence. But no civilization, ancient or modern, has ever survived the death of its own currency. When money loses meaning, power follows. And when belief turns to doubt, even the greatest empire can crumble. Because in the end, the fall of Rome began with something small. A single silver coin, a broken promise, and a lesson we still haven't learned. Thank you for watching When Money Ruled. If you enjoyed this story and want to see how history's greatest empires rose and fell through money, consider subscribing. Your support helps us bring the past back to life, one empire at a time.